smelter and rewrite the rules. And they did it with your tax money. The US military didn't just topple a regime, they cleared the path to mine collateral for a failing financial system. Comment scroll to decode your wealth timeline. What's coming next will crush the unprepared. Look, silver just crossed $75 per ounce. Physical silver is trading near and above $100 per ounce depending on where you live in the world, but JP Morgan and COMEX are still manipulating paper prices. Meanwhile, crude oil is collapsing, and for the first time ever, the paper market is losing control. The return to sound money is here. Sovereign money, scroll-backed money, but it's not gold. It's the metal they tried to bury, silver. They didn't just build a smelter, they built an extraction funnel, and they're draining the vaults in broad daylight. You're either on the scroll-coded path, or you're the liquidity they're stealing from. Comment scroll if you're done playing.
Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai Ba'ashem HaKadosh. Double honors to my apostles and elders of every millstone. They're doing you well. Peace and blessings be unto the elect. This is Brother Dawadah from GMS Detroit Camp coming at you with another video through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai Ba'ashem HaKadosh. Today, this will be another transit. Lord's will this video be edified to the elect of the nation of Israel, to whom this message is for. Now, you saw the opening clip, DJ Trump, is leading America into plundering resources yet again. You have a president plundering resources of a nation. Here it is. They want their grubby hands on the oil. They want their hands on the silver. And people don't have much to say about this. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if they're mining this silver, right? I don't know. I tried to look it up briefly earlier. I believe a brother was even mentioning it. I was trying to see if they were using silver. See, RFID chips with their tiny, thin antennas made of sprayed-on silver. So I don't know. For the antenna, they use metallic materials such as silver for the RFID C-hip. Okay? Now I want to see something else. May have to go on ChatGPT when I reach my destination. All right, but I want to see if they use silver, because it said that one of the articles said that they use silver to make the antenna for the C-hip. So maybe that's one of the reasons why they're trying to get that silver, because Elon Musk just said that they are mass producing. They're going to mass produce Neuralink in 2026, and now I believe that was the following day after that was said, DJ Trump, right, does this operation in Venezuela, kidnapping the president, taking over the oil and their silver apparently now, and it would make sense because a lot of these different news reporters are talking about the oil, but I haven't heard anything about the silver until just now, Slakia. And it'd be interesting to see look at that. Gold and silver prices are surging. This place is through. If you can't see that America's the bully on the block, then there's a problem. And everyone's talking about this, operation done. Here it is. He's supposed to be held on trial today, right? It's a Monday. He's supposed to be held on trial. Now, it's the same day today, all right, that being today, that apparently the vice president's, I think his name's J.D. Vance, apparently there was some gunshots at his home. He was allegedly targeted, and now people are talking about that on the news. The same day this Maduro is supposed to be on trial. We know how this devil moves. Problem, reaction, solution, order at KO, deflection. It's like he, if you box, you throw a feint, which is like you're faking as if you're trying to throw a punch, but really you got to watch the other hand. because the other hand can sleep you. You know, so to throw you off guard, throw a feint, and then bam. You know, and that's how Esau moves. He throws feints. He throws things at you to distract you, where in reality he has the main haymaker coming down the wire. You know, and that's how this devil operates. That's how this devil moves. You know, he'll distract you while he's doing his wickedness. That way you're not paying attention to his wickedness. You know? That's why this whole J.D. Vance story conveniently came out same day Maduro's allegedly on trial for some alleged drugs, which is completely unfounded, complete BS. You know, here it is, Trump saying, oh yeah, America, we're going to take over Venezuela until the new regime change comes in. Yeah, how convenient. And he's talking about taking over their oil reserves. Ain't that something? Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter. Right? And now, apparently, there's this silver thing coming into the mix. Now, what I want to do, you know, so I'm almost at my destination. We're going to look into this silver thing, and, you know, because we fact check everything over here. You know, we're going to see if that report is indeed true. You know, and you know, this year the spot price of silver has skyrocketed. You know, and I'm not no silver expertise. You know, but I know that is indeed a bad sign. U.S. seized $1 trillion in silver, huh? Whoops. I might have to type in America. Because if that's the case, and America can't say anything to Russia and what they're doing to Ukraine. They can't say anything. Because after this operation in Venezuela, America has to keep its mouth shut. You know? Because Russia can easily bring up, hey, look what you just did to Venezuela. You know? And the reason why, one of the reasons why this headline is so major is because one of the allies of Venezuela is both China and Russia. You know? And not only did Trump say this, I saw an article yesterday, this is kind of like a various topics, but it's centered around this whole Venezuelan incident. Trump is eyeing Colombia next. He's eyeing Colombia, and they also mentioned Greenland, that Trump wants to do something about those two areas too. This devil's off his rocker. He's doing whatever the hell he wants to do. You know? And if you can't see that this is a wicked society, a wicked nation, a wicked country, you know, then there's an issue. There's a reason why he's marching around like this, you know, and doing as he pleases, which is really not Trump. It's his handlers, the top wicked elite. You know, oftentimes people think Trump's, oh my God, he's such a bad guy. Yeah, he's wicked, but he has handlers. He's only following orders. You know, Trump ain't got no say in the matter. Since I reached my destination, let's get real quick. Silver seized. Let's fact check that. I don't see anything about that. Let's see. Let me see. Dead. Morgan sees. Oh, try this. Okay, let's try this. JP Morgan funds 6 billion euro smelter plant hours after United States seizes Venezuela metal wealth. Now, here's my question. Why was it so hard for me to find this article here? You know, here it is. If you, because you're watching the video, look at the headlines. You saw how hard it was for me to find this article. Why aren't more news stations talking about this? Well, guess what? It's because your top wicked elite, right? The top wicked elite, these damn devils, they control these different media outlets. They don't want this information coming out. They don't want this on the forefront. They're talking about the prices of gold and silver has gone up. But how come more places aren't talking about this? Let's check this article out. It says, J.P. Morgan funds $6 billion smelter plant. Which, you know what? Let me do this. J.P. Morgan. Let me try it this way. News. Look at this. They're talking about clients. They're talking about on-chain finance. But here it is. You just did something major. Special advisory services. None of this is relevant concerning Venezuela. Let's hop here. JP Morgan underwrote a $6 billion euro, which is $8 billion, smelter plant investment in the United States, just hours after Washington moved to seize Venezuelan metal wealth tied to long-standing international legal claims. Why is this article not on the forefront? Why is this not on the forefront? This place is something else. So it looks like, I just want to see a little bit more on this website. Try it this way. This, I'm gonna have to keep this website. It says, every country Trump has threatened after strikes on Venezuela. Donald Trump has issued a catalog of threats against several countries after American troops captured Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Let's read. The United States President has followed Mr. Maduro's shock arrest with threats against Colombia, Mexico, Greenland, Iran, and Cuba. Real quick, this is the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, and verse 6. Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, Woe, meaning death, destruction, to him that increaseth that which is not his. You're taking their silver, you're taking their oil. How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay, that word there for clay is ibatyat, meaning debt. All right? Which America is under heavy, heavy, heavy debt. Shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee? And thou shalt be booties unto them. Booties is spoil. Habakkuk 2 and 6 NLT. But soon their captives will taunt them. They will mock them, saying, What sorrow awaits you, thieves? Now you will get what you deserve. You become rich by extortion. But how much longer can this go on? You know? These nations, they're pissed at this devil. Okay? Jumping back. So he's threatened all these different countries. That shit's wicked. And again, why is this story not on the forefront? You know? So real quick, let me try this right here. J.P. Morgan, 8 billion. Just want to see something. Look at this. This is a UK website that I had to get this from. And I feel like MSN That's interesting. This is an American news outlet, looks like. But yet, that's the only website I've seen that actually has it for the most part. So you look at this. This is from 2024. We're not looking for that. We're looking for this right here, 7 hours ago. It's the UK article. I just wanted to fact check it. That way we see there's more than one news outlet saying the same thing. All right. It's the same lady, Chelsea DePisa. So she broke the story. But if you notice, these other American news outlets are not talking about this. JP Morgan Chase underwrote $6 billion smelter plant investment in the United States just hours after Washington moved to seize metal wealth tied to long-standing international legal claims. The deal reflects a rapidly shifting landscape in critical minerals, supply chain security, and sovereign asset control, which is wicked. Because guess what? If the spot price for silver is elevated, and silver is one of the main riches of Venezuela, America can make bank off of stealing it. Because they can sell it for a crazy price. It's $75, over $75, the spot price of silver. Now, I want you to notice this. The deal reflects a rapidly shifting landscape in critical minerals, supply chain security, and sovereign asset control. It also stresses how strategic metals like silver, zinc, and copper are becoming central in diplomatic leverage and industrial policy. Remember, 2026, towards the end in December, the White House issued a statement or an article saying that they want to implement 6G before 2030, all right, or by 2030. And one of the things that they said was that they wanted to use it for implantable technologies. Just days after that, Elon Musk released a statement saying they're going to mass produce Neuralink. The next day, Nicolas Maduro is captured and America has taken over Venezuela, which is rich in oil and also mineral resources such as silver. All right? Now I want to show you something. Let's go from there. Let's hit chat. Chat GPT. Let's try this. For the RFID implant in Neuralink is silver used to make it copper. Just want to see if there's a link, because it's no coincidence, you know. Okay, let's see. All right, so usually for the RFID C-HIP, they usually use copper. The reason why copper is used is because copper is cheap, you know. Silver and zinc are generally not used, right? Because why? Silver is too expensive. But they just took over Venezuela's silver. So that won't even be a factor. You see? Let's read some of this. The antenna coil, copper. Now remember, when we looked up the RFID C-HIP, it says that you can use copper, and it also mentions silver. Silver can be used to make that RFID C-HIP. RFID C-HIP, silver. Silver-based inks produce RFID tags. Let me see. Type in implant. I wish you could find that. Let me try this. What metals are used in the RFID? The antenna can be made of etched copper, aluminum, or conductive ink. Now, one of the things that we saw earlier on concerning that antenna, I can't remember what I typed in specifically, but it mentioned copper, and it also mentioned silver. All right. It also mentioned silver. You see. Yeah, see? RFID chips with their tiny thin antenna made of sprayed on silver. Interesting, right? So there you go. That's one of the importance of them using silver. Look, silver, aluminum, and copper. Now I want to do this. Let's grab this and let's check this out. Is Venezuela rich in silver, aluminum, and copper? Check it out. Look. Venezuela's underground wealth further includes potential gold reserves of over 7,000 tons, alongside resources such as iron, copper, right? And we also, it says bauxite and coltan, and we know silver is also another one of them. All right. Now, let's go back to chat. Then we'll grab some scriptures, and that'll be the lesson. So one of the things that they're rich in, let's see, is Venezuela rich in? Let's see what chat says. Let's see. Ooh, look at this. Venezuela is not considered a major silver producing or silver rich country compared to other Latin countries such as Mexico. Remember, Trump said he wants to target Mexico, right? Peru or Bolivia. Okay. Let's see. But they do have silver, all right? And they did indeed, all right? Or they're talking about seizing the, basically they've taken control of Venezuela. One of the things Venezuela has, all right, is silver. So that's one thing. Look at this right here. Aluminum. Venezuela is relatively rich in aluminum resources, which you use aluminum, you can use silver, and you can use aluminum to make that RFID CIP antenna. You see? You can read the rest of these if you like. The descriptions, they give you a little more resource description. Copper. Venezuela has some copper deposits. You see? And notice Mexico has copper deposits too, which is one of the reasons Trump is talking about targeting them. Okay? So they have a lot of aluminum, and they have some copper deposits, and they have silver deposits. They have the big three. And all three metals can be used to make that RFID CIP antenna. All right? There you go. All right? And they can use silver. They see, copper is cheap. And that's usually the go-to. But you can also use silver to make that antenna. So look, JP Morgan funds a smelter plant. What do smelters do? They melt down metals. You see? And Venezuela has silver. Venezuela has gold. Venezuela has copper. Venezuela has tons of aluminum, which these are metals that can be used to make that CHIP. All right? Government-backed smelter investment. I wonder why. It also stresses how strategic metals like silver, zinc, and copper, can be used to make that device, are becoming central diplomatic leverage and industrial policy. That's all we need from here. All right, now I'm just going to grab one script, and that'll be the lesson. This is the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 11, and it reads, "Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices." We know look, Esau, you ain't slick. The Heavenly Father's exposing you. All praise, honor, and glories be to Yahweh, Shem Yahshua, the Millennium Apostle, the elders, peace and blessings to the elect. Shalom.